Thank you, Amanda. And then we'll be recording the meeting too. So for those that aren't able to join us online, they'll be able to uh, see what we're talking about in our meeting. So if you don't want to be on camera, completely understandable because we'll be recording. And before we begin, just our shared agreements during these different spaces when we gather together is always reminding each other to make space for one another and allow others to speak and share their opinion, but also feeling empowered to take your own space and to share all the amazing work and things that you do, which that really goes right into the second one of respecting each other's time, supporting each other's learning, really elevating the expertise of lived experience, really being intentional about listening to understand, support one another. And at the end of the day, just remembering that the work that we're doing is to improve the health of all people and neighborhoods in Milwaukee. So next, just a fun little activity to get us going today is we'll have a poll of just some fall would you rather's. So the four different questions are, if you'd rather go apple picking or carve pumpkins at home, which one you'd rather. If you're more of like a nature walk person or watching football, if you'd rather host a baking party or a costume party. And then the last one's if you'd rather attend a haunted house or gather for a bonfire. So you can take a moment to answer what vibes you're feeling. Wow, we're like some big apple picking group. I'm noticing no carving pumpkins at home. We have a lot of people that prefer nature walks and pretty even on like the baking party or the costume party. And then the group is definitely more leaning towards a bonfire versus a haunted house. I love fall activities. It's just really feeling fall today. Awesome. Well, thanks for filling it out and kind of having a fun way to enter the space. So, just as far as an overview of MK Elevate and where we're at, so our current community health improvement process is from 2023 to 2028. And so we are entering our third year of this plan, which is kind of wild to reflect on just how far we've come, but then also all the wonderful work that we'll be continuing to do throughout the next few years together. So, as you all know, this is the Built Environment Action Team, and we also have our Maternal and Child Health Action Team, as well as our Safe and Supportive Community Action Team. And then overarching, embedded into all of our action teams and our work is racism, the focus on racism and health equity. So we wanted to highlight a few of the different projects and work that we have done over this past year. So Amanda, I don't know if you wanted to start on housing and transportation to highlight some of those things, then I can just highlight some of the food access work.
Sure. So, around housing and healthy neighborhoods, we've partnered with the Environmental Collaboration Office to host a My Climate Stories workshop, and worked with a number of partners from Citizen Action and Exfabula, as well as a lot of the eco neighborhoods, to talk about storytelling and work on how we share our personal stories about how the climate impacts us. To prepare for opportunities to do public testimony in the city of Milwaukee. And so that first course is just wrapping up actually tonight. But it's been a really exciting opportunity for us to get to know each other better and learn about storytelling and narrative, which I think has been a theme of this work throughout. We also worked with the Reclaiming Our Neighborhoods Coalition to present research that we've done on targeted rental inspection programs, looking at programs across the city, across Wisconsin that exist in different forms operating within state law, as well as different programs across the nation to really improve the conditions of rental housing. And then we also recently started partnering with Clean Wisconsin, and I know Kayla has joined us today to do environmental health data chats. And so we are going to be, they did one earlier in the fall, and we are going to be doing another in December with residents in Sherman Park, looking at environmental health and neighborhood indicators, and talking about opportunities to organize and improve our neighborhood conditions. So really excited to launch that project. And then in transportation and active spaces in July, with many of the feedback from a lot of folks in this room who contributed, we published Milwaukee's Vision Zero Action Plan, and then worked to advocate for a traffic safety camera program to create a pilot program here in the city of Milwaukee. I'll pass it over to Hannah to talk a little bit more about some of the food successes.
Yeah, thanks. So, for 2025, the Milwaukee Food Council hosted their second annual Food Justice Summit. So I know some of you were able to join that space, and we had a lot of just wonderful partners from many different sectors of the food system be able to join us and learn from another. There was a lot of wonderful workshops and just a space for growing together and kind of envisioning what our future food system should look like. So that was a very successful and lovely event. And then some other highlights are in partnership with American Heart Association, Feeding America, and UW Extension. A group of us, advocated for Milwaukee Market Match funding for 2026. So some of you may know that those markets or that program did not have funding for next year. But with the collaboration of city and county and some funding that was allocated for this program, we're going to be able to make that possible, which is really, really exciting. And so there'll be more details to come as far as all the different markets involved and what will be going on. But just to say that it was looking pretty unlikely that would be possible just due to budget constraints. But we had so many amazing people come together, join conversations, advocate for this amazing program, share stories. And it was just really cool to see so many partners come together and make this program possible for 2026. So it will look, slightly different as far as funding available, but it's still going to encompass many markets across Milwaukee County and still going to be providing, double dollars for those who utilize SNAP benefits at farmers markets for fruits and vegetables. So yeah, just a very exciting win for Milwaukee. And then another update is regarding our Feed MKE pilot project. So that's with the Environmental Collaboration Office, our food recovery and composting program. And that there's so many amazing projects that have come out of this. And I've shared a few in the past, but more than happy to share the website in the chat so that you all can explore it if you haven't yet, because there's just too much to fully encompass right now. But just one thing I wanted to highlight was the Mayor's Food Saver Challenge that launched this year, which is engaging a lot of local businesses in Milwaukee to think creatively about the food waste that they contribute and finding unique and creative ways to repurpose that food. So, for example, Soul Brew Kombucha, they have created a new kombucha flavor by using other food that would have gone to waste, which is absolutely healthy, good, lovely food, but they found really cool ways to use that. So just challenging businesses to be creative in that space. But there's a lot more information on the website, so I can share that in a moment. And then lastly, but most recently, due to the federal shutdown, the city and the county partnered together, which some of you may have seen this, on a food drive. And I wanted to share on the next slide just a few pictures from this effort and some of the kind of a summary of this effort just because it came together quite quickly. But again, really, really amazing to see so many partners come together so quickly. So not only were the city and county involved, but also the Milwaukee Public Schools showed up, the police stations showed up, we had the library show up. So many community partners. I can't even begin to start to name them because I'll miss it. But like so many community partners showed up. The Bucks showed up. The Brewers showed up. So it's just really cool to see all these partners come together. And we just had an update from our partners on some of the numbers. And so the drive has gathered over $92,000 in monetary donations and more than 9,000 pounds of food, which is huge. And now that the federal government shutdown has reopened, the emergency portion of the drive has concluded. However, I just wanted to give an update to you all that the city is keeping those donation bins up through Thanksgiving at all different locations. And again, I can share information in the chat if you all are interested. But people can continue donating both monetary to the funds as well as actual food donations through Thanksgiving. So just wanted to share that highlight too on some really cool partners showing up in a time of need for Milwaukee. So. Okay, so for the next portion of our time together, I wanted to introduce our 2025 MK Elevate Community Champions. So in preparation for our general member meeting in December, kind of our end of year celebration, which we'll also share the link to register for that if you all are interested in joining, is celebrating. I mean, too many people to celebrate, but celebrating some people that really stood out in our MK Elevate community and that have really been dedicated to our mission, which is creating a Milwaukee where all people are thriving in safe, healthy, and equitable neighborhoods by aligning strategies and building power, building partnerships, access to resources and opportunities for collective advocacy. And so we have a survey link that will give you all some time to read through and fill out, but this is actually for not only our built environment action team, but our maternal and child health action team, our safe and supportive community, as well as as well as everyone in our Elevate space. And so if you don't recognize someone's name, there is a small blurb about why they were nominated. And so you can feel free to read those and vote for just one person per priority area. And then at our celebration, we'll be giving those who were chosen a little uh, some gratitude, a little like to thank them for all the work that they've done. So, does anyone have any questions? Amanda just put the link in the chat, and so you guys can click on that, and we'll give you a few moments to fill that out. So, a moment to celebrate. And let us know if any of you have any issues accessing it. But like I said, we'll give you a few minutes to fill that out.
All right. Thanks, everyone. If you didn't get a chance to finish, you can leave it up for the next couple of minutes and finish it out. But I'm gonna move us on to our implementation partner presentation. So we have with us Rafi Turalva from 1000 Friends of Wisconsin. She's their transportation policy analyst, and is going to be speaking with us about some of the awesome work that she does. And so I will stop sharing and pass it over to Rafi. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. Let me just get my screen shared. All right, here we go. Okay, good morning, everyone. As Amanda said, I'm Rafi Taralva. I'm the Transportation Policy Analyst with 1000 Friends of Wisconsin. Thank you for asking me to present on our work, the work that we do. I'll talk a little bit about some of the statewide work, but focus a lot more, of course, on the stuff that we're doing here in Milwaukee. So to get started, some background on our organization. It was actually founded in 1996 as a land use planning nonprofit organization. Um, the 1000 Friends Initiative, also called Smart Growth for Wisconsin, was introduced to the legislature in 1999. And that legislation required every Wisconsin community to have a comprehensive land use plan by 2010 and required those communities to involve the public in the development of that plan. So that was kind of the main focus of why 1000 Friends came to be. But the work has shifted over time. So now we promote land use and transportation policy and activities that advance healthy communities and positive economic outcomes and environmental benefits in Wisconsin. So advocating for more sustainable land use across the state. We also operate Active Wisconsin. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but that's just a network of communities around the state that are advancing active transportation projects. Yeah. So this is our team, our whole team. Um, I'm based here in Milwaukee, but we also have our executive director, Trevor Rourke in Stevens Point, Jen Walker in Madison, and Rory, our office manager, but he really he keeps it all together for us, logistics. He's our finance person, our HR person, he's everything. So really grateful for Rory. And I'll add to this team that you see on the screen is fully staffed and brand new as of July of this year. So we're totally brand new team, kind of in I guess you could say a rebuilding phase for the direction of the organization. It has taken a lot more of health into the equation, just understanding how the systems, the transportation and land use systems work together with public health. So I'm really glad that we have this team kind of moving towards that goal. And I think might be the first time where we have two public health professionals on the team. I think that's the most they've ever had. So really awesome to be part of this group. Um, all right, so going into, I'll talk about kind of the different buckets that we do in our work. So first would be rethinking mobility and transportation networks. That manifests as Active Wisconsin. So I mentioned that earlier. I won't read this page, but it's basically a network of communities. And how that started was in 2012, Wisconsin Active Communities Alliance had a local coalition from around the state. Well, I guess you can't say local, a coalition of people from around the state who decided they needed a statewide active communities effort, which was missing already from state government and state agencies. So from that, they built the Wisconsin Active Together Network, in 2017, um, which came after the repeal of the Complete Streets Law, so repeal of eminent domain for bike and pedestrian infrastructure. And so they were created to build a grassroots response to those setbacks by recognizing communities for their efforts to make active living safer and more accessible for community members. And we know that at this point, the Complete Streets has still not been reinstated. So a lot of these Complete Streets policies are happening more at the local level. And so this is one way to kind of, oh, can you see like that corner of my, oops.
No, you're
Anyway,
all good. Yeah, we're seeing things.
you couldn't see. Okay. So yeah, a way to recognize communities around the state for doing so. And I just talked to a former colleague of mine who is now also trying to get connected with this network and develop or bring complete streets policies to Eau Claire, which currently doesn't have um, any robust policy. Um, but anyway, in 2020, when the Wisconsin Active Communities Alliance and um, Wisconsin Active Together network merged, that was under the leadership of 1,000 Friends to form Active Wisconsin. So that now is operated today by Jen, the community programs manager in Madison. This is also kind of going through a transition, kind of rethinking um, what the structure of it will be. They have a steering committee together, just trying to organize how they're also going to move forward. Okay. So moving on, rethinking mobility and transportation networks also manifests as what we would call freeway fighting. Here in Milwaukee, we're involved in two pretty big, you could think they're very controversial issues here in the city. So first of that is the Fix at 6 campaign. So this was a campaign to oppose the expansion of the I-94 East-West corridor and to urge WISDOT to consider more sustainable alternatives that incorporate public transportation and safety and fixing that freeway, that corridor as it is at 6 lanes. Um, well, today we know that they have closed the lanes despite this. We are also in a lawsuit with them, but despite this lawsuit and this campaign, so kind of our ask, without going into too many details about the lawsuit, is can more sustainable options still be incorporated into this? Because we don't know what will happen from now. Some of our partners in this campaign are ACLU of Wisconsin, Midwest Environmental Advocates, Sierra Club Wisconsin Chapter, Wisconsin Environment, and WISPERG, and we are represented by Midwest Environmental Advocates and Dennis Gerszynski, whom some might be familiar with. Micah is also a key partner with us here, the Milwaukee Inner City Congregations Allied for Hope, and Milwaukee Riverkeeper. Yeah, so that's one of our big freeway fighting endeavors. Another one that we support is Rethink 794. So yeah, pretty topical. This month, they had the public involvement meetings at the beginning of this month to kind of report some more of their analysis, specifically traffic. But where 1,000 Friends comes into this equation, so Rethink 794 was a campaign that started around 2021 or 2022 after WISDOT announced the Lake Interchange study, and a small group of Milwaukee residents and urbanists, including someone who was in my position in the past, who kind of was involved in his free time. They all saw this as an opportunity to reopen the conversation about removal to WISDOT, citing all the economic, community, environmental, and health benefits of raising the freeway. This was a conversation that had been happening since the 90s when Mayor Norquist was in office, but was pretty easily shot down back then. So they took this as an opportunity to open up that conversation. Removal was not an alternative that WISDOT was considering at all when they first started the lake interchange study. But the campaigning of this small group of citizens in Milwaukee and urbanists pushed for that, and it became an alternative that has persisted till now as one that they're one of the last few that they're considering. Since then, the members of the Rethink 794 campaign have volunteered a lot of their personal time with some of our support. That has looked like is we do a lot of behind the scenes coordination, running social media pages, website, but also looks kind of big in other ways. So you can see on the top left image is some news coverage of students presenting plans for that for I-794. That was sponsored. We sponsored UWM urban planning students research for land valuation and visioning for what could be in its place, which they had the opportunity to present at the Third Street Market Hall in the spring of this year, I believe. And that was kind of one approach that the campaign has taken. When I started this role, I was kind of maybe I was tasked to think of other ways to support the campaign. And so how that has manifested more recently is we were able to sponsor a walk and roll series, the first in which happened on Tuesday this week, actually, at noon, along a really small segment of the corridor next to the Marquette interchange. The goal of which being to bring together community members and some of the volunteers in the campaign to experience that part of the corridor firsthand and see how, by design, the freeway impacts the surrounding areas. And it was also an opportunity to ground the alternatives, either removal or reconfiguration, in the world conditions and open up conversations about how Milwaukeeans envision the future of the space. And some of the key things that came out of those conversations, I wish I had some to show you. This is kind of a pre-made presentation. But a lot of it highlighted how uninviting and how unwelcoming the space was. It wasn't people-centered. It didn't have green space, places for people to linger, to connect, to enjoy, and to really feel like they belong in the city, or at this part of the city. So yeah, some initial findings that came out of those conversations, and um, we had a little bit of media coverage for that, which they covered, like they had it on the news and posted on Facebook. And I'm trying not to look at the comments online that are really, really against removal. And I understand people's concerns about what this means for them, but really want to emphasize that our goal was to open up conversation, facilitate a space where people who are opposed and people who are really for it have an opportunity to like actually engage with each other and learn from each other about what are the concerns so that they can provide informed comments to WISDOT when they're when they ask for it. Um, so yeah, that was the first of one of our walk and rolls on the corridor. We have a couple more actually planned for next year along different segments, and hope to actually look more specifically at the bikeway connections and how those are impacted, and also continue opening up conversation and on how maybe the city, maybe DPW could have some cohesive effort together to see what the impact would be, what work that could they do to, in the face of removal or reconfiguration, what could be improved in relation to 794's future. And then hoping to culminate that series of walks in a creative, interactive planning event, again, really community centered on uplifting what people envision, what do they prioritize in this part of the city. Because there are a lot of benefits, and I won't go too much into them right now, but you can kind of see, if you've been looking at this, you can kind of see what people's thoughts are. This was on their WISDOT's Lake Interchange Study page. Okay, so what else do we do? We also advocate for equitable pro-housing policies. We've done this mostly in Milwaukee, but we'll be advancing it a little more around the state. We have a campaign building in Madison currently. So here in Milwaukee, the coalition is Together for Homes. That is led, our lead organizer is Montavious Jones. And from the website, it's a coalition that supports common sense city legislation that would bring attainable housing for all Milwaukeeans, including starter homes for workforce housing, housing close to transit, jobs, and opportunities. So we're breaking into the housing space because we have this understanding that um, for there to be advancement and support for transit, there also has to be the development that supports it as well. So you need the dense housing for transit to actually be effective. So that's kind of our breaking in. That's kind of the direction we're also venturing towards. So a success with this coalition is we saw the adoption, or folks in this coalition really pushed heavily for there to be some more community input into the Growing Milwaukee plan. And so in July 2025, the housing element was that new revised plan with community input, and that was adopted at the time. Um, our Madison campaign is called Madison for More Neighbors, kind of calling for um, similar end goal. And that's just a small amount of the advocates that were in this coalition. Um, in addition, we do education and capacity building. So I'll kind of say that this is more advocacy training. We've done this in a few different ways. So one is the Community Transportation Academy. That happens around the state, but we've had one happen this past spring in West Allis. Um, that is an 8 to 10 week training on safe streets and active transport advocacy, which is tailored generally to the community that it's occurring in. So whatever the needs of West Allis were and what the community wanted to learn about, that's what it was tailored to. And through these advocacy trainings, we connect the community with planning experts. So folks from Milwaukee Department of Public Works, Southeast Region WISDOT planners, multimodal planners, and Milwaukee County Transit System. We had someone who is a transit specialist join us. And so we connect the participants to those experts, and they learn about what the process is like, because that's something that's kind of amorphous, kind of nebulous to people. People don't know how long road projects take and how where their input is really valuable. And or even sometimes like how do you even talk about what you want to change in the built environment? So these transportation academies, Safe Street Academy is pretty similar. It's just kind of a shortened, abridged, condensed version of it, but it allows participants to develop a greater understanding of what that process is. A lot of the people that are in these academies are already community leaders, already advocates, but the world of road infrastructure and built environment is a little bit new to them. And so it was an awesome opportunity for folks to build their understanding of that. Through those, we also do walk roll audits, similar, I guess, to the one we did with Rethink 794, but these are definitely a lot more community focused on specific road projects in their neighborhoods. Um, and then those academies typically conclude with developing a strategy. How do they move forward? How do they remain engaged? What are the ways that they can continue advocating and stay engaged in the meantime? Because road projects typically take a long time. If they're attending a public involvement meeting tomorrow, the construction's probably happening in 4 years. So that's kind of the scope that we're working in. And I'll be continuing a little more of that work through more community walk audits. It's really condensing now to just the walk audits, but I'm working with different groups to see what type of structure works for them so they can still get those connections to the city planners, the local planners. And I just have a few images. So this was our West Allis Community Transportation Academy. They do walk audits. They in the Community Transportation Academy, they do a bus ride. So they can do they can assess that experience, whether they're a an avid transit rider, like a dedicated transit rider, or someone who hasn't ridden the bus before. It's a really good experience for everyone to just notice things that they hadn't before, regardless of their experience riding the bus. Um, and then this was our Safe Street Academy, which was much more Milwaukee focused. And this happened this past August and September. Rachel, there you are. I think I saw you in this meeting. Um, and we convened all of our groups together. We had two different community groups that we were working with and convened them all together in the first meeting and then conducted walk audits in their respective communities. Um, Let me see. Oh, we also, this wasn't me, but Carl, who was in my position before, had conducted a walk audit with Walnut Way as well. Amanda, you are also in this picture. So my goal then with this is to really continue doing those works. That's the community walk audits that are coming up that was on the previous slide, coming up this coming spring. Walnut Way is one of the groups we are working with. Rooted in Rising, Washington Park. We are going to continue working with them. Um, that's this group with the yellow vests. They were an awesome group and wanted to continue doing it. So I'm really glad that they had all that energy to keep going. And then I'm working with actually the Cesar Chavez bid director to see if there's opportunity to work with them, especially on that really important corridor. Um, Yeah, I think that's all I have. These are our socials and contact information. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer if I can. But yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rafi. That was really informative. And it's great to see pictures of so many folks coming together and I really appreciate your power of organizing the
Yeah, thank you.
community. Are there any questions or anything folks want to know from Rafi?
Hey everyone, it's Jeff at the county. Yeah, I just want to say, Rafi, yeah, really great overview of what you all do, and want to be as impartial as I can from the county perspective. But personally, I mean, I would encourage you and your organization, keep up the good fight. It's a culture issue here, right? We're a car culture in Milwaukee, and that has impacted every facet of our society here, um, many of which for the negative. And so, I think all of us here we know, what good can come through multimodal investment, through obviously the advancement of public health. Um, in all these sectors. So yeah, would encourage you. I mean, keep up the walk audits, keep up, um, the reimagining and the rethinking of these multi-billion dollar construction and reconstruction projects. People need to see both sides. So yeah, just want to encourage you and your organization.
Thanks, Jeff. That those words are really that means a lot. And while I have a lot of investment in this professionally, like these things affect me personally too. I don't drive. I rely on the bus system, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of work for this, and my personal investment is very strong. So yeah, I see questions about promoting the walk-in rules. So I'm still working with those groups to finalize dates, but yes, I can share them with Amanda to share out in a newsletter, or if folks want to send me their contact info directly, I can also share those. But yeah, not finalized yet. Those will probably be happening beginning in March though, so there's still a little bit of time. But yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, we'll share Rafi's contact information if that's okay, if anyone wants to follow up. And please follow 1000 Friends on social. They just did an awesome push a couple weeks ago for the Week Without Driving, a huge campaign. And I really enjoyed your content, especially Rafi,
Yeah,
following along with us
watch
on the
my
bus.
TikTok style video. Yeah.
So encourage folks to stay connected. And then we are going to move on to spending some time reflecting on the progress that we've all made, both in our individual organizations and then working together to improve the built environment this year. So give me 1 second. So we are doing trying out a new annual progress review survey. So we're going to spend some time in this meeting today. I'll play some music and give you all time to fill out this progress review survey. This will be really helpful in helping us understand the work that's going on and then sharing it back out with all of you so that we can really highlight all the progress that's been made. And then there are also a couple of questions that'll help inform how we can make this process better and more effectively meet your needs for the year ahead. So Hannah just shared the link to the survey. It should take you about 10-15 minutes. So I will we'll leave this screen up, let you take the time on your own and play some music for about 15 minutes, and we'll come back all together at 11:05. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be here, happy to answer them. Just come off mute or put them in the chat. But would really appreciate you taking the time to fill out this survey so that we can make this progress better and do better work all together. So I will hit play. And then if folks let me know just if you have any questions. In the meantime. And at this form, you should be able to start responses and then finish them up later. So if you want to get started, but then realize you need to go back and look at an annual report or like find a number or something, you can save your progress and then come back to it later. All right, how are folks doing? Was that enough time? Do we want a couple more minutes to finish up? See a thumbs up. Put maybe if you can put your thumbs up or raise your hand if you're all done. And one, two, three, four. Okay, cool. Let's Um, if you weren't able to finish, like I said, you can keep your save your progress and then come back to it right after the meeting. But I was hoping we could take a little bit of time now that we've reflected individually to reflect together, and wanted to hear what folks think about in the past year. What has been the most impactful change you've seen made to Milwaukee's built environment this year? Could be physical things, policy changes, new programs.
This is Jessica Weinberg with Vision Zero in the city of Milwaukee. I mean, to me, as a resident, as someone who works in this space, all the protected bike lanes, and then the adoption of the Vision Zero action plan are big, but I am embarrassed to say my own thing, but wanted to kick it off.
Appreciate that. And we can always promote our own work. That's much appreciated in this space.
I'll plus one to Vision Zero and specifically the bike boulevard that is one block south of my apartment. I think that's a really great infrastructure change for me personally, and for others who rather bike through that corridor. Um, love the this is another DPW thing, but the 414 in motion mobility and transportation plan is really great to see the community engagement that they're getting involved with, and I'm excited to see where that goes and what kind of policy they develop to make sure that streets are designed safer and kind of in line with the Vision Zero goals.
Absolutely, me too. How about you, Hannah? What have you seen in the food world?
Oh, so many things. I feel like what I had mentioned before, but just something really, just seeing partners come together for Milwaukee Market Match, I think is like something that has made me really excited. Even I mean, excited for 2026. So I feel like that, like seeing that, yeah, gives me hope for partners continue to come together and advocate um, for programs that are meaningful. But I'd invite anyone else to share some things too.
Hey, if I could go back to the built environment for just a minute, though this isn't in particular to infrastructure, working on the safety action planning process, not only with the city of Milwaukee, but our 19 municipalities. Um, by the end of this year, all 19 will have their own safety action plan, so transportation safety plan, that their staff and residents can work with. But out of that process, we will um, be up to five of those 19 that have an official commitment to Vision Zero by 2037. So five, and then Milwaukee County as a whole. So I think we're in the right direction, and hopefully, in the coming years we'll get even more.
That's awesome. Always love to see different cooperation and built environment is really a regional thing. So it's so important to see not only the city taking action, but all of the county and our surrounding municipalities. Appreciate that. And I want to lift up Heidi's note in the chat from a food access perspective. She's been really encouraged by watching Milwaukee lift up and take care of each other. Yes, I completely agree. Kayla, if anyone wants to come up and speak a little bit more about what they put in the chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight, and also in response to Heidi, just seeing how quickly partners came together and community came together in response to the shutdown. I thought it was really impressive to see, and it was a great program. I see these frequently everywhere, the donation boxes. So wanted to shout that out.
Kayla.
I'll just mention too at MATC, our culinary program with our food pantry normally shares and prepares 300 meals, and they doubled to 600 meals a week during this time. So just an example of that intentional efforts when resources are limited.
Thank you. And then I think looking ahead to next year, what are we most excited about doing to improve Milwaukee's built environment next year? I can maybe kick us off and then see if Barrett wants to continue, but I've jumped into working a little bit more on lead poisoning and housing conditions, and we're doing some really exciting partnership with the Milwaukee Healthcare Partnership around they're developing a real like collective action initiative to bring together folks working on improving lead testing and screening, as well as raising funds to continue abating homes and making sure that folks get the resources to improve their housing conditions. And so I'm really excited to see where that work goes next year. And Barrett, if there's anything else you want to add about that.
Yeah, I think just echoing what you said, but also I'm getting more into the lead space, and we have a grant kicking off this month to build that stronger collective impact structure in Milwaukee around lead poisoning. And that's also building off of some work that's been done already, looking at lead screening in primary care settings as well.
Also next year, just Amanda briefly touched on the project that Clean Wisconsin and the City of Milwaukee Health Department are working on. And I'm excited to host some more of these data chats about getting community informed, priorities on environmental health in their neighborhoods. So I'm excited to see what we can do with that next year after those have completed.
Anything else, or are we all just trying to get through the end of this one?
I'll just throw out that I'm excited to let you all know when I have finalized dates for our walk and roll audits.
Yes, I am too. Those are a really great way both to like connect with our environment and with each other. And so looking forward to participating in more and hope folks from this group will join us. Anyone want to have a last word? All right. Well, thank you all so much. And I'll pass it over to Hannah to wrap us up with some announcements and
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks, Amanda. So one main announcement we wanted to share, which I had alluded to earlier, is our end of year celebration. So if you have not registered yet, we wanted to share more information about our end of year celebration event. So I will put the registration link in the chat, which also has the details for the event. But just to highlight that it's on Thursday, December 4th from 4 to 5:30 p.m. In person at Concordia 27th. So there's the address and information on the registration link. And it's really just meant to be a time to come together. There'll be food. We'll have our guest speaker, Dr. Monique Liston. And it's really just, an opportunity to connect and celebrate the year, and to also just kind of talk about reflecting on the first 3 years of our MKE Elevate plan, and come together. As far as like logistics go, I believe there is parking available for those who would be driving, and there's like a free parking lot and street parking. But would love for all or some of you to be able to come and celebrate and attend. So if you're interested in attending, please use the registration link just so we know how many people to prepare for. But would love to see some of you there in person. And then I would invite anyone else if there's upcoming events or things that you all want to share for the group. you can unmute or put anything in the chat. And again, like I mentioned earlier, Amanda and I can make sure that we capture those and then send them out to the group. So if anyone has any upcoming events or just announcements in general, please feel free to unmute. Otherwise, you can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I can go. I know it's last minute, and it's not totally related, but I would be remiss if I didn't update. The American Cancer Society at noon today, we're hosting a webinar on self-care for caregivers. So I'll put that registration link in the chat. Of course, I know it's last minute, but I figured since we're here, I'd share it anyways.
Thanks so much.
I know
Yes.
this Saturday, the League of Women Voters is hosting an event at Summit Place. And I'll put a little more information in the chat, but this will be sharing information on the city and the county's climate and economic equity plans, and talking about how the city and the county can collaborate together to improve the environment and reduce the impacts of climate change. So invite folks to attend that. I'll put the flyer in the chat.
Thanks, Amanda. Awesome. Any other events or things going on that people know of that would be good for this group to be aware of? And if not, if anything comes up, again, feel free to email Amanda and I so we can share it with the larger group. But looking forward to seeing hopefully some of you at our celebration in December. Any other announcements, Amanda? I'm trying to think if there's anything else to share.
I don't think
before we wrap
so.
up.
Thanks so much. It was really great to see everyone. And thank you again to Rafi for sharing your work with us. It was really great to learn about. And I think there are a lot of connections between what a lot of folks on the call do. So really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing your morning with us. We appreciate it. And then there are some links and things being shared in the chat. So feel free to explore those too before you leave.
And if you think of anything after too, we'll send it out in the follow-up email. So please send them our way.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.